All right, the Reds, it's Talking Reds. Myself, Gareth Roberts, I've got Dan Morgan with me. Dan works for Liverpool.com, is that right?
It is.
Liverpool.com. Liverpool.com used to be something else, you see, like the Merseyman and stuff like that.
Used to take you to, when you used to click on Liverpool.com, it used to take you to the What's On page on the Echo.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, see, that was why I got confused for a moment, because I used to work for the mighty Merseyman, what a paper. Now long gone. But we're talking about the Reds today, and a bit of Reds news that just came out there is about Wijnaldum. Obviously, lots of speculation about Wijnaldum with Ronald Koeman being at Barcelona. Will them two link up? Obviously, Wijnaldum is in the last year of his deal and that kind of stuff. There's question marks around his age as well being put out there. Not for me, by the way, but we'll come on to talk about that. But yeah, the report says that he's not pushing for a move. The Reds have no desire to sell at this stage and have been offered no indication by Wijnaldum that he's looking for a move. The uncertainty surrounding his contract is, however, keeping all options open. Obviously, loads of debate about this one, and it's tied in with Thiago as well. Where are you on it, mate? Because, you know, no midfielder plays more minutes than him last season. Pretty much since he's been here, he's hardly ever been injured. He's missed the consistency. Klopp seems to love him as well. He's played him in a number of positions. We've seen different Wijnaldums as well, you know, angry Wijnaldum, for instance, who comes on against Barcelona and that kind of stuff. I think it'd be a real shame if he was to go.
Yeah, I would. I mean, the player you see on a football pitch, and it is often sort of the version of the person that we judge as football supporters in that sense. Yeah, absolutely. But I think for me, this is sort of one of those life situations that you have to sort of bring in that you never usually do when it comes to supporting football and football clubs. You know, we just group it in this chasm of like, they're on a pitch, they try and win a game of football and nothing else outside exists. But for Gini Wijnaldum, obviously, you know, he's had no contract extension since he's been at Liverpool, and he's been here a long time now when you think about it. So I think Neil made the point the other day, and I completely agree with him. If anything, he's probably been underpaid by Liverpool, and I don't want to use that in the sense that I know, like, obviously in our sort of life circle, what footballers earn to us is a completely different scale. But in his sort of environment, his work environment, he might have sort of felt that at some point he's been due a contract maybe a year, 2 years ago. It just seems a very relaxed situation, doesn't it, for everyone? And I think that also shows that sort of, yeah, these people can sort of work together and want to win and want to work towards something, but at the end of the day, they're all people doing a job, and they're probably, Wijnaldum's probably talking to Klopp and the teammates saying, yeah, this is the situation, I might get off in a year, fancy living in Spain maybe, or Italy, you know, I know there's the Barcelona thing now, but I wouldn't rule Juventus out if he goes on a free. And he's well within his rights to, you know, 29, and wants what will probably be his big last payday in terms of a 3-4 year deal. I'd miss him as a player massively, but I don't think anyone could sort of begrudge him or even Liverpool really if they decided that was the way forward. The other thing, sorry mate, as well, is I always ask myself, and I know people don't like it a lot of the time, but I always ask myself, if this was a United 20 years ago move, would you be surprised? And I don't think you would. Like, you know, the manner, and what I'm getting at is the manner in which they started to sort of filter out players at times that were, to you, a bit surprising. But then a year or so down the line, you're looking and you're thinking that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about that aspect as well. Obviously, Wenger for a long time had the thing about never buying anyone in or around 30. He ended up sort of breaking that, and everyone was like, you broke your little rule now. But, you know, for a long time, that was his rule. And even going back into history, I think it was Paisley, said, you know, about not letting people age on your books, basically, like, let them go and retire on someone else's book. So there is an aspect of that. I mean, we shall see, I guess. It is ongoing. That is the situation as reported by Goal there, and we shall see. It seems to be maybe tied in with this Thiago situation as well. Away from the transfer stuff then, obviously the Charity Shield, as I'm continuing to call it, no matter what, is tomorrow at 4 against Arsenal. It's really weird, isn't it? I keep saying this on shows, but it is really weird, the fact that, you know, at the start of this month or whatever it was, you know, Arsenal winning the FA Cup, and here we are now playing the Charity Shield. You know, we only had the Champions League final seemingly the other day. Now it's the Charity Shield. You know, it's strange to wonder where players are at and teams are at and the motivations are. Even this game itself, you know, sort of going out at Wembley for the traditional curtain raiser for the season, you know, it's not going to be quite the same not having the backdrop of 70, 80,000 fans.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it comes down to sort of how the players treat it. You know, I think if you sort of get a game where there's two teams who are happy to sort of let a first hour of the game go by and them feel themselves into it, then, you know, you might be in for a bit of a tough watch. I don't think that'll be the case. I think that might be the case when the league kicks off, because like you say, it's still sort of, in another time frame, it's still sort of pre-season time, you know. So I think there'll be an intensity from the game on Sunday. I think it was interesting that you look at when Liverpool played Salzburg, you know, Milner comes on like a man possessed, because he's clearly not happy with the standards the way they were, and you know, he wanted to take it up a level and stuff like that. So I think Liverpool have got sort of the personalities to go up when they want to. I think it's an interesting conversation all the way through, the concept of sort of the players almost managing themselves. You know, they've got the best advice, they've got the best nutrition, they've got the best coaching and everything else, but they sort of know their own bodies and their own minds. And I think there will be games, like I say, for the first few months of the season where everyone sort of just settles into a kind of, let's just pad our way into this and see what it's like after 30, 45. But I mean, this game could bring anything. It could bring a pre-season score. We don't know that on Sunday, so it's a big unknown for us.
Yeah, it's a mad one, isn't it? And the competition itself, the game itself's a little bit mad, isn't it? I mean, I hear sometimes, you know, players who come in from elsewhere almost call it like a cup final, because that's what it feels like to them, because they're going to Wembley and you get a piece of silverware. Then to us, or to me at least, you know, it's always just a bit of a glorified, friendly one that you sort of laugh and you go, yes, we won it if we win it, and one that you go, not that bothered if we lose it. I thought it was interesting, you know, the other week really, that Klopp said, you know, the focus is obviously the start of the Premier League, and he sort of said, like, the Arsenal game won't get in the way of our preparation, which I thought was interesting, because it's almost like, you know, he's mapped out where the players are fitness-wise and when he wants them to peak, and it's not going to be tomorrow, because, you know, you've got this international break straight away, which is annoying, and then it's another week until Leeds United.
Yeah, I mean, I expect him to use the squad. I think he'll make the changes that he either planned out for a game of, you know, whatever opposition in terms of friendly, based on what he's getting told about where the players are at.
Yeah. So
I would imagine there'll be, you know, a couple at half-time, a raft on about 60, and then the result is the result. I mean, there are little things you can take from the Shield, I always think. I mean, I always remember last season, you know, it was notable how much we battered City in that second half. And then it was notable to me how much they celebrated the penalty shootout. Yeah. Two things which do sort of bear relevance now you look at them back. So yeah, there'll be little things you can look at. Obviously, you know, you want a Liverpool side that is sort of showing you the green shoots of them being ready. So, you know, you want to sort of cut out the Fabinho error the other day, stuff like that. You'll be looking for that. But if Liverpool get rolled by Arsenal, it's not the end of the world, like you say. The focus will be Leeds, and this break, you know, for all intents and purposes, it's just a nightmare. It's just an absolute disaster for the manager, and he will sort of need to get all his work done now, which he will have done, and then send his players away.
Keep his fingers crossed.
Keep his fingers crossed, but also know that he's basically got about 48 hours when they come back with this bank of work behind them. So, you know, Arsenal will represent sort of the end of this phase of a weird pre-season, if you like, and it'll show us certain things. I mean, I'm really intrigued by seeing Nico. You know, we talked about sort of the lack of fans and sort of the curtain raiser aspect to it and not being that serious. Might be the biggest game in Nico Williams' career.
Brewster as well.
Yeah, but also, you know, you sort of look at that in terms of sort of Leeds and stuff like that and see what other angles you can take. Joe Gomez, for example, I'll have an eye on him tomorrow, because, you know, he'll have to manage Nico Williams through a game. Yeah. Arsenal got the lad Saka, he's really good. They'll obviously drift players out there to target him. So there'll be little interesting dynamics we can pick up and look at, definitely.
Is there anyone you've seen, I know we haven't seen much pre-season from Liverpool, just the 2 games really, but is there anything you've seen maybe the tail end of last season into pre-season to where we are now, where you think they're doing a bit there, where they might force their way into what we've always said? Because so often we said last season the first 11 is the first 11, the first 11 is the first 11. But now you've maybe got Keita, Minamino's starting to show. You know, is there anyone there where you think they look ready to challenge, and you could maybe see them against Leeds or first few weeks?
I think Curtis is the one that sticks out, and I think a lot of that is positional. Don't get me wrong, his development's been phenomenal, but you know, I think sort of the fact that he can be in a position that is often more rotated than a fullback, or you know, one of the forwards, one of the front 3. I think it's harder then for a Harvey Elliott or Nico, if Trent was fit, to sort of just pick up a game, you know, 30 minutes here and there. So I think that for Curtis bodes well, but also, you know, I think he has come back sort of. People have said, you know, he looks a bit bigger and stuff like that. I think there's just a development in his game. I think he's always sort of been a player, even at 23 level and 18 level, who's sort of like to grab the game and dictate and have it on his terms. And I think most importantly, he's had the confidence from that run-in to say that he can do that in the Premier League and at the top level. So I think the manager and his coaching staff are probably looking at him thinking, yeah, we're seeing a Liverpool player here. And that midfield, with the congestion of fixtures, might be one that they think, yeah, you know, that's something we need to change sort of every other game, every third game. So yeah, you know, let's look at Nico as sort of the 3 beyond the 3 that we're picking, and he gets maybe 1 in 3, all being well injuries wise. I mean, Rian's an obviously clearly talented boy, but there's just a strange sort of fascination there from me around what we're doing with him and his development. Yeah. I think it's interesting, to be honest, Robbo, because I think Liverpool seem more inclined to send lads who are sort of 20, 21 on loan than they do 17, 18. And I think there's something in that, and I don't think it's a bad thing, in that, you know, they're sort of waiting for them to develop as people into men. Sort of, they're not sending them to a strange place as teenagers and asking them to play men's football, as Rian put it the other day. You know, they're sort of letting them become young adults first, learning through Liverpool how it's sort of done in training and stuff like that, how you behave, and then finding the right club for them. So around all the talk about Rian Brewster going out again, I'd agree it's probably the last loan that Liverpool can make for him, but I don't necessarily see it as sort of, you know, it's sort of the beginning of the end type of situation, which I've sort of been guilty myself of mooting before. It was just when I sat and thought about it this morning, it actually makes sense that, yeah, you're not just piling them out at 16, 17, and if they're not playing first team football for Liverpool at 2021, Trent the obvious outlier, then they're not going to make it. You know, there is a pathway there that can say you can still go on loan at that time, come back and have a future. Yeah, he's been linked with Sheffield United again today, and you know, people joining the dots saying Klopp likes Chris Wilder, and it could be a useful one for Rian. We shall see. He might well get his chance tomorrow in the Community Shield. We shall see. He might well get a chance against Leeds. We shall see. Whatever happens, the Anfield app will be covering it. Full it tomorrow. We're doing the post-match pint again, post the Community Shield match, which we're really looking forward to. Something live, something together, rather than sort of, you know, over Zoom in little boxes and that kind of stuff. There will be the Pink, the post-match show as well, and then all the usual stuff as well on the website and everything else as we gear up to the season. So thanks to Dan for coming in today. That has been Talking Reds. Up the Reds.